Hello, my name's Indy and I'll be talking about the Hirschi control theory. Hirschi developed this theory in 1969, which was during the time when criminologists were trying to figure out what causes criminal behavior. But Hirschi flipped the question. Instead of asking what motivates deviancy, he asked what keeps us in line. Our core values. Everyone is capable of committing crimes, but what keeps us from committing crimes is our social bonds that we have within society. First, let's talk about attachment. Attachment is the emotional connection that we have with others. It's when we care about what people think, like our parents, our friends, our teachers, less likely to risk disappointing them through deviant behaviors. There's something in my... Okay. Commitment. Commitment is basically having something to lose. If you spent years building a future, you're way less likely to gamble it on risky, illegal behavior. We're almost done. High five! Involvement. Involvement is the idea that staying busy keeps you out of trouble. If your schedule is jam-packed with school, work, sports, family life, you're way less likely to have time for delinquent behavior. There's something... Belief. Wait, how'd you get in here? Belief refers to accepting the social rules as real rules. If you think the rules are fair, you're more likely to follow them. It also matters on if you respect authority or not. Now, here are some examples. This is going to be a kind of long doozy, so bear with me. I'm going to give a couple examples that relates to the theory that I just explained to you guys. Within the course, we had to watch a movie. And in that movie, it talked about 4 youths who committed 4 separate crimes. One of them, whose name is Jose, who's 15 years old, he went to jail for murder. Now, even though he didn't have that much involvement within the murder, he still went to jail because he witnessed the murder happen and he didn't do anything to prevent it or anything to stop it. Not to mention, Jose was also in the gang. Jose had no family whatsoever. His mother passed away and his father left and wasn't in the picture, which caused him to join a gang. A lot of people join gangs for a lot of things. One of the reasons people join gangs is for family, for a sense of belonging, money, and the list goes on. Since Jose didn't have that attachment or any commitment, I believe that's the reason why he went down the path that he did. In addition to that, I have another example. I don't know if you guys ever heard of a movie called Freedom Riders, but in Freedom Riders, there's basically a teacher who teaches a bunch of youths. And within these youths, a lot of the youths are within not so great situations. Some are within gangs, some are in the cartel, some have horrible home lives, and just basically they're considered the worst of the worst within the school. But this teacher doesn't give up on them. She continues to show them kindness, show them education, and give them all the tools that she possibly can. She fights to be their teacher. She fights to be their teacher for a continuance because they end up learning a lot with her. And with her having so much commitment and her having so much attachment to these children end up turning their lives around. Well, some of them do. They end up turning their lives around and actually care about learning, and they want to learn even more, especially with her. So a lot of those kids who didn't really have that attachment, who didn't really have that family or friend person that they can try to not risk doing any delinquent behaviors with or for, they ended up having this teacher who showed them kindness, who showed them that they wanted to do better and wanted to be better for this teacher. Now it's time for the analysis. Boring, I know, but bear with me. What makes Hirschi's theory unique is that he assumes deviancy is the default. He assumes that everyone starts off with the ability to be deviant. Without strong social bonds, we drift towards rule breaking. So instead of asking, why did they do it? Hirschi's asking, what bonds failed to stop them? Now it's time for the critique. Within the theory, I feel as if Hirschi oversimplifies human behavior. I also think it doesn't account for people who commit crimes because of strong family bonds. For example, an example of this would be stealing bread or stealing food for their family because they don't have money to eat. And while the theory is very influential, the theory has limits. People with strong family or community ties still sometimes commit crimes, and not all deviance comes from weak bonds. Basically, you can have all these strong bonds with community, family, and all these other things, but still commit deviancy. Sorry, room change. An example of that would be the 4 youths who all committed crimes. One of them had a decent family life. He had a roof over his head, he had food in his belly, he had 2-parent household with siblings. He had a decent home life, but yet still committed crimes. In conclusion, Hirschi's social control theory remains one of the most widely taught explanations on why people obey the law. By focusing on our connections with its attachment, commitment, involvement, belief, he reminds us, Hirschi, that crime isn't just about individual choices, but the social role that shapes them. I just want to say thank you guys for watching. This is Mamba, and I think he also thanks you for watching. Bye.